Hey, Tony Gaskins here, popping in. Now, taking a little day trip today, and gonna be doing this ever so often, every now and then, just to live a little bit. Sometimes people be like, Tony, what you do for fun? What you do to relax? You know, we're always seeing you working on here and all this kind of stuff I do for fun. This is my relaxation. Just get out the house, get to go to a different city for the day, eat breakfast in a different city, eat lunch in a different city, then be back to my city, be back home for dinner. And just something we got to do every now and then. Just take out time for you, take out time for yourself, and do something you want to do. So I'm going up here to Raleigh, North Carolina. Gonna get to meet with a couple of the Blessed Tribe members and gentlemen, and I think a couple ladies, and just get to make that connection. Say thank you to the people who support me, you know, with that monthly support of the Blessed Tribe. You always, on the videos, you see that little join button up under. Sometimes people don't know what that is, but that's a membership. People just support the channel. And so when I visit a city, I try to meet up with people from that city just to make their acquaintance and say thank you, essentially. But basketball team, you know, I've been working with sports teams since 2010, so it's been 15 years. In this particular team, Baylor men's basketball, I started working with them the first summer I started working with them. It was 2019. And so 2019, 2020, that was one season, 2019, 2020. And then the next year was COVID, so I didn't get to go out in person as much, but I got to work with them that season as well. And that was 2020 and 2021, and we won the national championship in 2021. And I got a championship ring. It says Gaskins on it, and so that was an amazing feeling. You know, having sold into their lives the whole season before, and then my second season with them, for them to win the national championship, it was just like, for me, it was God. You know, it was God just adding that to my resume and giving me that opportunity. It was redemption, because I had worked with a pro team, an NBA team, and they didn't do as well, and they just had a lot of drama, a lot of chaos. And at the end of that season, you know, I felt bad, felt dejected, felt like I could have did more, could have been more effective, could have had a greater impact on their life, and could have did things better, did things differently, and I didn't. So then to go back to the college ranks, because that's where I had started, to go back to the college ranks and meet young men who I still keep in touch with, those young men today from that first team, that 2019 team. And a couple of guys from that team are in the NBA right now, and I keep in touch with those guys. And so one of those young men, he keep in touch with me, you know, all the time. Another one, he actually just submitted me as a speaker for his team, for his NBA team. And so just to think about that, like, man, 2024, 2025 years later, the impact that was had, it still resonates. And it just shows you that the work is not in vain. And I believe the same thing with the young men that I'm working with right now who are in high school. When they go Division I, when they get to the pros, I believe they'll still remember, what I did for them when they were in high school, like how I helped them and sacrificed and was there for them. And a lot of times we just don't think about that. So for me, this right here, this work that I do, it doesn't feed my family. This is when I'm talking about passion. It's also purpose. Has nothing to do with profit. Sometimes people will see, oh, you work with sports teams and all of this, man, how much did that pay? And they assume that just raking in the dough, but it's always been about almost like charity work, because it's not really a price I could put on it that would be worth it to the school or even affordable. So I'm really just serving from my heart. And then they give word of mouth and their network, and they help me. They put the name out there and things of that nature. And so that's just how it works. But I say that to say this has been one of the most fulfilling parts of my career. Like I would rather work with athletes full time than to do what I do, with you on YouTube or in person on one-on-one calls. As much as I enjoy that, me being a former athlete and a former college athlete and aspiring, I was a former aspiring pro athlete, it just really gives me a lot of joy when I get to work with athletes and help them in their lives. And I wish I could do that, full time, but I definitely would not be able to provide for my family on the level that God has allowed me to provide for my family if I did that full time. So thank God He gave me other streams of income and business ideas, and I get to do this stuff right here for fun and not for a living. But one day when my family requires less ingenuity and innovation from me, I'll be able to settle in and work, from my heart and work in pure passion and purpose. But God says, hey, have a greater impact than just 15 young men at a time, reach hundreds of thousands or millions with a message that'll make someone think and lead them closer to Christ. And so here we are. But my point is, you got to do some things for you too. So you may be in a position where God has you working and you have influence and you have impact in the corporate world or in some industry, but then you may just want to work with a small group of 3 to 5 youth that you are impacting their lives, and there's no money attached to it. There's no money associated with it, but you want to do it because it brings you joy and fulfillment and a deeper sense of purpose. And that's totally fine, do that. And don't always feel like it has to be grandiose and this huge ordeal. Like, you could focus in on one person that you work with, whether that's a young adult, a teenager, adolescent. Like, it could be one person that you sponsor, you support, and it could be a niece, a nephew, a neighbor's child, like teenager, adult. Like I have a young man that I'm mentoring. He's 19 years old, and I got him into the insurance business, and he's on my agency. He's in my insurance agency, and he's gonna be now making money as an insurance agent, as a licensed insurance agent. And that all it's not something he wanted to do or thought about doing. It just all came about him being under my mentorship and in my network. And now, you know, he just was thanking me the other day. He was like, man, thank you so much. I just took my first business trip. You know, at 19 years old, he went on a business trip with me to meet the founder of the insurance company, meet the founders, well, the founder, and then the partner and another partner. And we went to one of their houses, and he stretched his mind going to a 24,000 square foot house of a gentleman who has made a life and made a living from the insurance industry, and at 19 years old. And then here I am at 41, you know, twice his age, seeing that. And it's not for the first time I've been to another, you know, 24,000 square foot house, but I was 19. It was just a few years ago when I went to a billionaire's house, a paper billionaire at least. And so I say that to say, that's like, this young man may become a rock star in this industry. And he's gonna say one day, if he does, he's gonna be like, you know, Tony Gaskins, my mentor, brought me into this industry. And he and I are just as new to the industry. So he is ahead of me. He got his license before I got my license. So I say that to say, it's like, that's still legacy. That's lineage. You know, that's purpose. And that's what I want you to understand. Like, you can start a nonprofit and literally be working with one person and their family. You're helping their family. Your 10% that you give back to help the needy, those in need. If you make $50,000 a year, your 10% is $5,000. That $5,000, you know, that's like, you know, $400 a month. But like, that $400 a month could mean the world to a family that's in poverty. That's grocery. That may be half of their rent. You know, that may be their light bill, their water bill, phone bill combined, internet or whatever, so the kids could do homework, just from your $50,000 a year salary, which may not, you know, sound like a lot in the grand scheme of things, but when you actually budget and put it to work, you could be making a difference. And that child that's benefiting from the insurance, I mean the child that's benefiting from the internet that you're paying for, could grow up and become a surgeon, an attorney, a pro athlete, a world changer. And they'll look back and say, you know, Jane Doe, John Doe paid for my family's internet for years and bought me a Dell computer, a Microsoft computer for Christmas. And I just worked on that computer and studied on that computer and went on the internet and watched YouTube videos on how to become a doctor. And so now, here where you feel like you're insignificant and you can do nothing because you don't make $1 million, God takes and shows you where you can have impact on a $30,000 salary, $40,000 salary, $50,000 salary. If you just budget your money and be intentional about giving back, about sowing seeds, being a blessing. And so that's why I say as well, it's like, if you can't do it on your own, then join somebody who's doing it. And that's why I thank you to everyone who has supported. You the Tony Gaskins Family Foundation, because I'm almost 100% certain that one of the boys in this program this year is gonna be, at least one of them is gonna be an NBA player. And I'm gonna see to it, because I'm gonna stay in these guys' corner. I'm gonna stay in their ear. And me having worked with NBA players, I know what it takes. It's just consistency. It's just a willing to not give up, to not take shortcuts, to not quit. So I'm gonna be in these boys' ear, because they got the talent. You just gotta be consistent. And then guess what? When one of them becomes an NBA player from Tony, and he played for Tony Gaskins Elite, his 9th grade or 10th grade year, I'm gonna post that. And you're gonna look back and be like, hey, I donated to that program. I helped buy that boy's shoes. I helped buy his uniform. I helped pay for his online curriculum on time management, emotional intelligence, financial literacy, and all these other things. I helped do that. So even if you don't have your own 501c3, your own nonprofit, your own academy, your own team, you still a part of somebody's life. You still a part of somebody's journey, somebody's legacy. And that's what we gotta start doing. We gotta give back more. And so that's what the Lord said to me. He said, listen, this first 40 years, that was building you. This next 40, it's like a crucifixion and a resurrection. It's like now you got to be more directly impactful. You got to be more hands-on. Like, you've been one to many. Your voice has reached tens of millions of people. You recognize every city you go, every venue you go, every place you go, somebody recognizes you. You've been one to many. Now it's time to be one to one. Now it's time for hand-to-hand combat in spiritual warfare, fighting what the enemy is doing. Now it's time. So that's what it's gonna take, and that's what the Lord telling me. It's time. So we got to put the work in. I'm pulling up to the airport. Ironically, I board in I think 16 minutes. So I have never, and also this is a very humbling experience. I'm about to fly on Frontier. I really do not know what Frontier is, but it was like the only plane that had a non-stop early in the morning. Like, I know what Frontier is, I have heard of it, but I have never ventured to fly on it. So please keep me in your prayers. You know, keep me lifted in the name of the Lord. Keep me lifted in your prayers. Oh, the airport is empty. To God be the glory. So a lot of parking spaces. To God be the glory. I guess everybody flew out of here or something. No. Well, I don't know. Maybe the signs is broken, because it look like a good amount of cars up under here. So maybe the sign is broken. Thing show said it's 581 parking spots, but I don't see where. So hey, it's time. It's time for us to have impact. You know what I mean? Impact. To be impactful and to be intentional. So do what you can in your city. And if you can't do it in your city, then join me in my city. Because we gonna change the world one life at a time, one way or another. But hey, this Tony Gaskins. God bless you. We'll talk soon.